Right now, you just added salt to your food. You didn't think about it. It took less than 2 seconds. But the first human who ever did that did it completely by accident. And when it happened, they didn't feel pleasure, they felt fear. So what made them go back? You might think flavor was always the point, that one clever ancestor just tasted something interesting and decided to keep using it. But that's not what happened. The real story involves survival instincts, animal behavior, and a mistake made near the edge of a dying river. And when you hear it, it will permanently change how you look at every spice on your shelf. In 2013, archaeologists working in Moravia, in what is now the Czech Republic, made a discovery. Inside a prehistoric cooking site buried in charred earth, they found the remains of fish bones. That wasn't the surprise. Embedded with the bones, they found mustard seeds. Not one or two seeds, enough to suggest they were placed there on purpose. Now, here is what stopped the researchers cold. Mustard adds almost no calories. It has almost no nutritional value. But someone carried it across open land, ground it against a flat stone, and added it to food 6,000 years ago. That is not an accident. Someone understood, somehow, that it made things better. But how did that understanding begin? To answer that, we need to go back much further. Picture a group moving across open savanna roughly 40,000 years ago. The grass is dry, the season has been long. A child walks at the back of the group. The path follows the same route that elephants use, not because the group is following the elephants, because the elephants always find water. One afternoon, the path leads somewhere unexpected, a wide, flat stretch of cracked earth rimmed with white. The animals ahead crouch low and lick the ground. An elder at the front watches them for a long moment. Then the child at the back of the group kneels down and licks the ground. The taste hits immediately. Sharp, wrong, too strong. The child backs away, but does not run. That night, the group makes camp near the salt flat. Meat cooks over the embers, and something is different. Not better, not yet, just different. The child lies awake long after the fire dies down, staring up at a sky full of stars, still thinking about the taste. That is where it begins. But here's where it gets stranger. Salt wasn't discovered by accident once. It was discovered the same way, independently on every continent, by groups who had no contact with each other. Scientists call this convergent behavior, the same solution found separately because the same pressure existed everywhere, and the pressure was simple. Without sodium, muscles stop working, the heart stutters. Your body knew it needed salt long before your brain had a word for it. That is why the child licked the ground. Not curiosity, craving. But that's only half the story, because salt fills a biological need. What about the spices that fill nothing? Chili peppers are a paradox. Capsaicin, the compound that makes them burn, is a plant defense mechanism. It evolved specifically to hurt mammals, to drive them away. And yet, somewhere around 7,500 years ago in what is now central Mexico, someone ate one anyway. The burn hit instantly. They staggered. They spat it out. And then, after a long pause, they looked back at the plant and went back for more. In 2007, archaeologist Linda Perry and her team made it official. Analyzing sites across the Caribbean and Central America, they identified chili pepper residue at multiple sites. Not traces, enough to confirm deliberate use. Someone had started growing chili on purpose, tending it, protecting it, carrying it from camp to camp. But why? Here's the part most documentaries skip entirely. In 1998, researchers Jennifer Billing and Paul Sherman published a landmark paper. They had analyzed 4,578 meat-based recipes from 36 countries. Their finding was precise and quiet and devastating. The spices most commonly used in hot climates were not chosen for flavor. They were chosen because they kill bacteria. Garlic, onion, chili, cumin, all strong antimicrobials, all dominant in the regions where meat spoils fastest. Your ancestors didn't know the science, but their bodies kept score. The groups that seasoned their food got sick less, had more children, and passed down the habit. Flavor came later. First came survival. Your body still carries all of this. When you add garlic because it smells good, Your nose is running a 40,000-year-old safety check. When you crave salt after exercise, that's not a bad habit. That's your body reading the same signal the child on the salt flat was reading. When you feel that specific pleasure of biting into something perfectly spiced, you are completing a feedback loop, one that stretches back thousands of generations. Not science, memory, written in the body, not the brain. That salt shaker you reached for without thinking? Someone, somewhere, 40,000 years ago, crouched at the edge of a cracked riverbank, tasted something sharp and wrong and frightening, backed away, and then went back. Not because it tasted good, because something deep and wordless in their body already knew. We didn't invent seasoning, we inherited it from the most attentive people who ever lived.